Hello and welcome to this video introduction, video instructions for our final project in the University Seminar 275 Scientific Ethics course. And so what we're going to do for a final project is each of you are going to choose to kind of explore both the science and the arguments for and against some type of ethical dilemma. Okay, so the first thing to take a look at is what is an ethical dilemma? And so kind of in its most basic sense, an ethical dilemma is going to be a conflict between moral imperatives. So in this case, we've got a statement that burning fossil fuels produces harmful pollution, it contributes to global warming, damages the environment. It's just all around a bad thing to do. But we need the energy. We need the production of energy. And so there are a lot of discussions that we need to replace burning of fossil fuels with some type of cleaner energy. And so lots of opportunities are there to look at. And so, we take a look at the Limerick power plant over here, just outside of Philadelphia. Nuclear power plant. So that doesn't produce, harmful pollution, but it generates radioactive waste that is going to be, potentially harmful for thousands of years. And, it's still controversial about whether or not we have an appropriate and sustainable kind of waste storage program for nuclear spent fuel rods. In the middle, we've got a windmill here. So air power, taking a look at wind energy. Lots of potential for that as a sustainable source of energy, but it interferes with the migration of birds, and at least some studies have shown that it causes a lot of death of these migrating birds. And so, no pollution, but it's still disrupting the environment. This is something that we should be taking a look at. And then finally, at the very end of this, the third image here is looking at a solar panel. And so solar energy, we're using solar energy to fuel our living organisms. We're using, photosynthesis in our plants to give us kind of the basis of our food chain. Why can't we use solar energy to give us the energy we need in other aspects of our lives? And so that, again, has a lot of potential associated with it. But in the creation of these solar panels, we use a lot of harmful materials, harmful chemicals, harmful materials in some way that, potentially, there are going to be waste products associated with that. What do we do with these solar panels once they've kind of exceeded their functional lives? Are these now waste materials that have to be disposed of in some way? And so, no clear right or wrong answers with this, but definitely questions that we need to look at. We need to come up with some type of solution for this, but what is the best solution that's available? And so if we take a look at this, basically what we're applying within this course is the concept of science and technology within society. And so we need to kind of define what these two terms mean. So science, as you're going to see within this course, is going to be a systematic process of investigation. So it's a way of looking at the world around us. We make observations. We potentially do experiments to say what happens if we change things around a little bit to try to come up with a better understanding, more knowledge about what's going on. And so science is the gaining of knowledge. Technology, though, is then going to be the application of that knowledge for some purpose within society. So applying this in a way that it becomes accessible and available at least to some aspects of the community around us. And so the question then is knowledge dangerous? Is collecting the scientific information, is it something that we should be concerned with? And so Michael Scott, the author of the Nicholas Flamel fictional novel, says, knowledge itself is never dangerous. It is how that knowledge is used that is dangerous. And so, again, this gives rise to this concept of ethical dilemmas in science. Should we use this information in some way in which it, could potentially be harmful or dangerous to those around us? And so, again, this is, a screen capture from Amazon. And so we're looking at the anarchist cookbook here, looking at making, bombs and explosives and all kinds of other things. That information is out there. Is it dangerous that it's there? Is it something that should be taken and censored in some way? Again, no answer is right or wrong, but is this something that we should be considering? Are there areas of research that should be off limits? In this case, we've got a military scientist doing virus research. Lots of controversy right now, this summer of 2021, where we're talking about what are those origins for the COVID-19 virus. Is it natural? Did it come from the wild, or was it manipulated in some way? If it was manipulated, should we, allow for these types of manipulations to occur? Because we've seen the devastating effects that this virus had, in, a short, maybe year and a half now at this point, less than 2 years definitely. It really disrupted the world and turned us all, on our heads trying to figure out how it is that we're going to kind of go through this. Are there things that we should be looking at, and are there things that we should be prohibiting the research in? Are there applications that should be prohibited? And so here we've got the NASA Space Launch System. The goal is that they're going to come up with more powerful rockets. And the hope is that their first of these experimental rockets is going to launch in November of this year, November of 2021. And they need this increased kind of power of the rockets to be able to get materials to the moon and ultimately to get it to Mars if we're going to go and attempt to at least colonize that planet, or at least explore it a little bit more. And so the current payload on these rockets are estimated to be about, 59,000 pounds, which is kind of roughly equivalent to 11 SUVs, sports utility vehicles, with the goal of almost doubling that in the near future. And so, we're going to have rockets that are capable of sending up, 18 SUVs, which is a whole lot of stuff. And it's great, if we're going to, launch things into space and, take, space stations and, materials that we need to colonize, the moon or Mars. But are there other aspects of this technology that shouldn't be allowed? If we're, doing 18 SUVs worth of explosives, that's a whole lot. That's a potentially very damaging and dangerous use of this technology in a military application. So is it okay to do it if we're doing, peaceful, exploration of space, but it should be prohibited if we're going to be using it against our fellow citizens of the earth? What are the ways in which we can be doing this? Again, we don't have answers, but we should be able to ask these questions and have a discussion about the types of considerations, the types of thoughts and the thought process, and who should be involved in making these decisions as we go through. Because if we avoid making the decisions, then somebody else is going to make those decisions for us, and it may not necessarily be looking out for our own individual best interests. And so what is it you're going to be doing for this final project? And so the Ethical Dilemma Science Project is going to be broken up into a variety of assignments across the semester. And so we're going to start out with a topic selection. And so I'm asking you to let me know what it is you're thinking about, just because I don't want everybody doing the same topic. And I want to make sure that you've come up with a good topic that you can focus in on and be able to have a quality product at the end. And then we're going to have both a draft and a final version. The reason I do this is that I can provide feedback with you to make your final draft even stronger. And that's the goal of the course, is to have a good polished product at the end. And then ultimately, once your final draft is submitted to me, I'm going to post that on our Canvas site, and so that your fellow students are going to be able to read through your paper, just like you're going to be able to read through their papers and comment on it. And again, learn a little bit more about kind of broader aspects of science and ethics beyond what we're just simply able to cover within the lecture portion of this course. So in a little bit more detail, the goal is that in the Canvas site, there's a list of the topics that have already been approved, as well as a list of the topics that were used previously within the course. You can see what things people have worked on previously. Now, with the topic choice, the goal is just to have a short description, about 100, 150 words, maybe half to two-thirds of a page long, where you tell me what is the dilemma that you're thinking about, what is the controversy, and basically, what is it that people need to be thinking about as they're really supporting or being against this technology. And so hopefully get that approved relatively early, relatively easily, so that you can focus in on the actual project itself. So within the draft of this, and the final version is going to be very, very similar to this. So do an introduction, so a paragraph or two, talking about your topic selection, give it a little bit of an introduction, a little bit of detail, and then go into the scientific background, ideally anywhere from about 1 to 3 pages where you explain the science to your classmates. Not with the goal that they're going to go through and be an international expert in doing science on it, but that they can understand at least enough of the science to be able to understand what's going on. And then we're going to take a look at both the proponents, the people for the use of it, as well as the opponents, the people against the use of it, and take a look at, and again, 1 or 2 pages, what is their viewpoint, what are their arguments, and importantly, what are the ethical systems that go along with this. And so we'll do this. So there'll be 2 ethical systems that you're going to be talking about as a basis for supporting the use of this science or supporting the use of this technology. And then 2 ethical systems that would have a differing viewpoint that would be against it. And so talk about why they're against it and what their arguments are going to be. And then finally, because you're going to become very well versed in this topic, you're going to become an expert on it, what's your personal viewpoint? What's your perspective on this? And ultimately, why? And so that's going to be the draft version. You're going to send it to me. I'm going to give you some feedback, ask you some questions, so that hopefully you're going to be able to polish that up into a good, solid paper that we're then going to post on the Canvas site that your classmates are going to read. Ultimately, they're going to read and comment on it. The goal is that you're going to read at least 10 other papers from other students in the class and then comment on it. And the goal with the comments are to indicate that you've read it, that you've understood it. And so basically what I'm asking you to do is say, do you support the use of technology or do you reject the use of the technology in this situation? So are you with the proponents or with the opponents on that? And then give some feedback to the author of the ethical dilemma by telling them, what part of their argument swayed you, what part of the argument that they made allowed you to make your decision. And so again, like we're going to see throughout many aspects of this course, we're going to disagree, and that's fine. We're not going to all see the world around us in exactly the same way. And as Gandhi said, this honest disagreement and the ability to have a civil discussion about it and express our viewpoints and provide evidence that supports our view, this honest disagreement is often a good sign of progress, and it's going to be a goal that we have within this course. So as always, if you have any questions about this, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. You've got my email address. Hopefully, I've enjoyed this assignment, reading it in the past. It's given students an opportunity to really explore something that they're interested in and excited about, and hopefully you're going to enjoy it as well. Thank you, and have a great day.